Welcome back to part 2. Part 2 we're going to be airbrushing the eyeshadow, the eyebrows and the lips. For the face and the blusher, please go back to part 1. So we're going to be using the Eyebrush Nebula silicone makeup today, and the first colour we're going to be using is from the chromatic set, which is called Dragonfly. It is a gold shimmery colour. And as you can see, I'm using the lowest PSI as I can, and it comes out the airbrush very well. And I'm going to pat it down with a dry brush just to get rid of any excess material to help it dry a little bit faster and much more smoother. And then I'm going to get a masking tool and I'm going to put it underneath our eyelashes just to protect the foundation we did in part 1. So again, I'm using the masking tool just to go under the eyelashes to protect the foundation, and we're just going to put on this lovely gold colour, the lowest PSI we can. Fantastic. And in a minute you'll see me lift the lids up and spray the gold again, and this is just to get into all them little creases and get some product in them creases. The model throughout this, having their eyes done, must have relaxed eyes. They mustn't open their eyes until all the eyeshadow is done, and you've got to let each layer of eyeshadow dry before applying the next colour, and it's got to be completely dry before the model can open their eyes. As you can see, this is a very shiny, shimmery gold. This colour from the Chromatic Nebula collection is Dream Light. It is a sort of coppery colour with like a pink iridescent. And as you can see, I'm using another masking tool just to get in that cut crease and blend the two colours together. And I'm going to pat off some excess which overlaps the two colours just to blend it in a little bit more, because it's a little bit too wet there. Again, we're going to use a circle sort of fashion with our airbrush because we don't want any direction with this look. We just want it to look nice and blended, so we don't want any sort of like harsh directional lines. Again, I'm just lifting that eye up just to get into all them little creases. What you're going to see in a minute is that this is quite a heavy solution because it is mainly mica and shimmer, and it takes a little bit of effort to get out of the airbrush. So what you see is when it comes out the airbrush, it will come out really fast in one big lump and it'll be very wet, so I had to pat this off very quickly. This can happen sometimes because it can clog the airbrush having these sort of thicker particles in the solution. But yeah, just pat it off very quickly and you can go over it again. So I'm going to lift the eyebrow up again and open that eye and them skin folds up, and you can see it's much more controlled this time, so I don't have to pat a lot of it off. After I've done this, I'm going to turn the model forward and you'll see the two colours together and how shimmery this colour looks as well. Okay, we're going to use our masking tool again just to create this more smoky look and to mask off any areas we don't want with this next colour. And this next colour is again from Eyebrow Nebula, and it's the iridescent set, and it's the lustrous taupe colour, which is a sort of brown, very dark bronze colour, which is a shimmer. It's almost sort of goes like a gunmetal grey. If you're a very relaxed model, you can actually do some eyeliner with your silicone makeup. I'm just going to put a masking tool just underneath them eyelashes and tighten the skin, and you can see she's very comfortable. The camera's quite deceptive here. I'm not that close really to her when I was doing the eyeliner. It's just because my airbrush was at an angle different to the actual camera. So what I'm going to be doing now is using that masking tool again just to protect the eyeshadow, the colours I want to keep, and creating that lovely smoky V at the end of our eyeshadow. Okay, in a minute I'm going to move on to the next eye so you can see clearly what I'm doing. So I'm going to put that masking tool to outline where I want this wing sort of to end with this lovely colour, and protect that foundation I have done in part 1. So I'm gradually blending it with other colours or the other colour next to it, and slowly working this wing up. So I'm going to get that masking tool again and put it underneath the lashes just to protect the foundation from what we did in part 1, and stretching that eyelid up. And now I'm going to protect the colours again that I want to keep, and sort of blend this colour in. As you can see, I've got a little bit of splatterage, and I'm going to sort that out in a bit. I'm going to tap it off and blend it into that lovely coppery colour. So I can mark out a sort of cut crease effect now using this masking tool. And all I'm doing here is a little bit of blending that darker gunmetal colour into that copper. So I'm just going to make that gunmetal colour a little bit thicker on both sides to give it more of a dramatic look. And all I'm doing now is try and make the lift even on both sides, because as I'm not straight on and I'm having to turn the model for the camera, I've noticed that the wings are not in the same place. So I'm just correcting that a little bit. What you notice is when I'm blending this dark colour with the copper, that the iridescent in the copper is actually turning some of the grey gunmetal colour like a pinky tinge. So what I'm doing is just going back at that copper colour to blend the copper and that dark gunmetal colour together. So yeah, you can just see that pinky tinge now. I'm blending the two colours together. So that copper colour is now going to have more of a pink colour to it, and which is lovely. So it just shows you that if you mix two colours, you can actually change them very easily to blend a little bit better. So we're going underneath the eyes next. So I'm going to get a masking tool out and get the model to open their eyes, and we're going to try and get as close to that waterline as possible when we do the colours underneath. and try use the lowest pressure as we can. So we're going to go with that nice copper colour underneath. Now our model usually wears contact lenses, so for this she's had to take her contact lenses out because it absorbs the moisture when we do airbrushing, and therefore she'll be like looking at a cloudy mist throughout the actual paint. So she's blinking quite a lot, and one, it's a weird sensation because you do get a little bit of air on your eyes even if you're shielding them, but also she's not being able to see is also why she's blinking, because she actually can't see much at the moment. But it's better than having misty up contact lenses. So just remember, before you get your model to sort of open their eyes, the actual eyelid makeup must be dry completely, or else what's going to happen is you're going to get all the segments of the actual solution go into the creases, or it'll just leave loads of sort of holy patches where it's rubbed against the eyelid and it's not fully dry. So as the makeup on the bottom eyelid is drying, just try and get your model to actually relax her eyes, and you can continue using the upper lid and actually doing any touch-ups you need to do bits of touch-ups on. But yeah, your model needs to have these really relaxed eyes. If not, everything's going to go in them creases. I believe here I'm using another colour, and I'm using a colour called Moonlight by Eyebrow Nebula in the iridescent range, and this is like a pearlescent white. And I'll just put it in the corners of the eyes. In a minute I'm going to put this moonlight colour underneath the eyebrows, between that gunmetal and eyebrow, just to try and give it a little bit of a highlight, a little bit of a lift. And what I'm doing is just touching up the nose in a bit, just because the masking tools hit some of the makeup off her nose. So what I decide here is the white moonlight is actually giving a model a very grey effect on her brow bone. So I'm just taking some rid of some of that shimmer and using that foundation colour just to take some of that shimmer away to give it more of a natural look. So what we're doing is joining that gunmetal colour in a bit with the bottom lid. So when we do the bottom lid, always ask your model after you've done a little bit if they're okay. Just in case you've got any silicone makeup in their eyes, because it's not water-based makeup, it's silicone-based makeup. And we just want to make sure they're okay and they can see to the best of their ability while you're doing this application. So I think we're going to move on to the eyebrows next, and I'm going to go and get an eyebrow stencil tool. and the product we're going to be using is Mistair, and it's from the brow pack, and I believe this is a neutral brow colour, and I believe also the stencil is from Mistair. As you can see, I'm just going to use this stencil, and I'm going to bend this stencil around her natural brow. So just choose the best stencil you've got for your model or for your client, and just work that stencil around the brow so you can blend it in with their natural brow shape. And I always brush this product straight after, just to give it a bit of a more natural finish and it's not as blocky. So I just go in with an eyebrow brush and just brush it and soften it as much as I can, because I like my eyebrows to be a bit more natural. Some people do like the more blocky look. Onto the next brow, so hopefully you can see this a little bit better than any other brow. And so I've chosen the same style stencil, and I'm just going to start spraying at the nose end first, and I'm going to work this stencil around so it blends with her natural eyebrow. These stencils come in many different shapes and sizes, so I'll just choose as near as I can, or the angle the actual model, the client wants, but I still try and get the actual natural eyebrow into that shape. I'm sorry I cut the video here, so you're not going to see me blend this eyebrow or brush it through and try and get it to the same height and level as the other eyebrow, as everybody has eyebrows which are slightly different. They're sisters, not twins, as they say, so I try to make them a little bit more balanced off screen. So I'm just using the standard black waterline pencil here. And I'm just going to get another pencil and just do a pencil liner on the upper lids. And I'm just smudging out that pencil liner towards the wings of our design. So the mascara we are using is from Airbrush, which is another airbrush makeup company. So you can see is when I've done the mascara, there's I try and correct a little bit. So by using the cotton bud to get rid of the little black mascara product which landed on her face, and you'll see me using the airbrush again to correct that little black blob. Apply the eyelashes next. Finally, onto the lips. As you can see, our lovely model's got these lovely big lips with a lovely cupid bow, and I'm just going to outline this in black just to give us a sharp sort of edge and the guideline on where we're going to go, because we're going to airbrush this lip colour in. But yeah, I just want this as a guideline. You don't have to do this with airbrush if you're doing the lips, because you've got all the stencil tools, but I like to have this because it just gives me a little bit more of a guideline and a bit more of a safety net. So yeah. So I'm just going to follow my model's natural lip, And because I'm not straight on, I'm not expecting this to be a perfect lip anyway, because I'm not straight on to my model, so I'm not going to get this as symmetrical as I'd want it for a client. But I'm just doing it for demonstration, so you can see, guys can see what goes on and see how I do an airbrush lip. So we've got that masking tool back out again, and we're going to use that gunmetal colour we used earlier, which was that lustrous taupe from the Nebula range by Eyeliner, and we're going to use that. And you can see now that that colour is actually like a silver. The black actually shows up the colour very well. That it's like a gunmetal silver colour. So yeah. It's always fun doing lips, because what happens is, because it's not a very tight area, because your lips move, but they move a different way to your eyes, you'll get this sort of sucking sound every now and then when the airbrush hits certain angles of the lips. There's nothing to be scared of, it's just air blowing the lips apart. As you can see, the actual airbrush on the lips goes on very, very well and very, very nicely. And it produces quite a nice colour, and it's definitely a lovely shimmer as well. As you can see, I have knocked some of the foundation off on the lower lip, or below the lower lip, by using the masking tool. Just be aware of this: if your masking tool does touch the foundation, it can knock the product off. Just go over this at the end with your normal foundation colour, and it should blend okay and nice and neatly. So what I find here is the coppery colour, which is the heavier colour, is a little bit unpredictable, a bit too unpredictable at the moment for the airbrush, so I would probably need to clean the airbrush completely to get this to work properly through my airbrush. So because I haven't got time for this, I just decided to change the colour to the gold colour instead on the lips. Ideally I wanted that coppery coloured, so I get that pinky colour like in the eyes, and then contour this down or graduate this down to that gold colour. But due to time, and I would have to clean the airbrush out very well, I decided just to go with this gold, and we'll see what happens, see what we get. So this is the final look, and in the images I've touched up the images on the spots, just kept the mole on her cheek because that's natural to the model. On the model's request, because usually I wouldn't touch up all this, but as she wanted the 2 spots on her chin gone, I did it for the model's request. Thank you for watching my video, hope you found it very informative, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this video, and follow any of my links. See you later, bye!